All right then. Hi everyone. Welcome back to this session. So we have a brand new guest and a mentor here for us today. In the person of Bunmi Martins. She's going to be introducing herself shortly. So let's use this opportunity to let everyone know that this session has begun. I know we just finished one, so you could get the people from the last session, making sure that they know that this one has started. Share it within the app as well for other people to join us, as this is going to be an interesting session. Because of time, and I want us to, take in the full hour of why we have Bumi here. As I keep saying to you guys, all the people that we bring to you in Tech1M are all seasoned professionals that have 15 plus years experience, and they have tapping into their skills, tapping into their experiences and pouring that into us. So it's an opportunity for us to be able to learn from them, ask the right questions so that they could answer the questions, and from their own view and from their own experiences. So as you guys know, we have the Q&A area where you can pour in your answers, your questions. So start doing that as soon as you know what we are talking about. Our topic today is about imposter syndrome. This is an interesting topic. So we are unmasking imposter syndrome. So what Bumi is going to be doing is we want to talk about pro tips to overcome and gain work confidence. Imposter syndrome, as you guys would know, is when you are wondering, why am I here? But then you are actually you've gotten yourself there with all the skills, the qualification, your professionalism, but then you still don't feel like you're in the right place. What exactly? I know all of those things can hinder you. It can give you less confidence. It can ask you questions. You can question yourself, and this happens to the best of us.
Yep.
And it also happens to people that are just starting out. So this is a generic topic, regardless of where you are within your career, and we want to be able to see how Bumi has, mastered this over the years. But before I do that, I'm just going to read Bumi's bio so you guys know a bit more about who she is, and then she can introduce herself even a whole lot more. So Bumi Martins is a business analyst with over 13 years experience, in the field. So she's been working with different industries and leading the business analysis work stream across multiple projects. For the past 10 years, Bumi has worked with the financial service industry with tier one investment banks in the UK, and with a focus on delivering credit risk modeling and regulatory reporting solutions. So currently, Bumi works with the wholesale credit modeling at NatWest Bank, which is a foremost bank in the UK, a major retail and commercial bank in the United Kingdom, where she leads the delivery and regulatory driven capital implementation projects. Bumi is a highly motivated woman who is passionate about education, and as such works continuously to improve her skill set and set new standards within any project she works on. So you guys, let's take a minute to appreciate Bumi for being here through your emojis. As you could see, this is a seasoned professional that is about to pour into us. So Bumi, thank you. Thank you so much for taking out of your busy time to give us an hour today and to pour into our Tech1M graduates.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Tommie.
Thank you. So yeah, so I know I've read through your bio, but if you were to just introduce Bumi in a few lines, what would you say?
Bunmi, the business analyst, you've just read. You've literally just talked about Bunmi, the business analyst. So, like you said, I've worked within financial services for over 13 years. I think it's about almost 14 years now. But my focus in the past 10 years has been regulatory-driven projects. And what that basically just means is I work within the teams that design the models that determine how we lend to businesses. So I work within wholesale, which is basically business to business processes. And that's sort of where my expertise has been within the past 10 years. Bunmi, the non-business analyst, which is Bunmi as Bunmi herself. I've got 2 kids. I've got a lovely husband. I love to read. I love to travel. And I just love to, curl up on the sofa on a good weekend and watch a nice series or a nice movie. And I love food. In a
Okay.
nutshell, that's
Food.
me.
Really, you are food. So I'm coming for some Netflix tips and the one I should be watching. You know
Yeah,
what
bring
what
it
what
on.
should I be watching very very soon? So I'll be coming back to you to give
Bring
me
it
some.
on.
Okay. So guys, there you have it. It's always good to have we've read like this amazing bio, but then as you could see, there's a personality behind the bio, and all of that has made the bio possible. And this is what we want to learn today. So imposter syndrome, for me, if you are to address imposter syndrome, how would you, because I've said it in my own words, but in your own
Mm.
words, what do you think this is? As in how deep is this thing?
Oh, it's very deep seated, and I think sometimes we don't even know that we have it until someone defines it, and then you go, ah, that's it. That's exactly what I feel. And in my experience, it's just this feeling of inadequacy in the face of success. You've delivered things. Sure, like you said earlier, you are where you are because you put in the work. But then here you are in that place, and you think, "There's no way I'm as good as all these people." What were they thinking when they hired me? Someone's going to realize that I'm not as good as they think I am. I probably talked really well in the interview, and that's why I'm here right now. And it is that continuous feeling of not being enough in the space that you find yourself in, even when you've delivered, even when you've had successful projects, you've had successful deliveries, you've put in the work. At the end of the job, they've all said to you, that was fantastic, but you still feel these guys are missing something. I'm not really quite that good.
Mm,
It must be luck. It must be the way I spoke. It must be the fact that I'm friends with this person and that. And it's just that continuous feeling of inadequacy, even in the face of success. That's, and that feeling that I just simply don't belong in this room or at this table. And someone's going to figure it out real soon that I don't belong. And that continuous fear that just persists, and we allow it to, sort of seep into the work
mm.
that we do, or in the areas of our life.
Interesting. I think to start this talk, what I would love to do is to take a poll, so that let's see how many of us have actually felt this thing that we are describing, this imposter syndrome, the inadequacy, this feeling of I'm not meant to be here, this feeling of, oh, I think everybody here is better than me, or this feeling of, what am I doing here? Am I really supposed to be here? There's just something that stops you. And if you have felt it or if you haven't, let's see. I'm going to publish this poll. Just go through the poll. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Let me put the poll on stage. Just tap a yes or a no if you haven't felt it, or you're not even sure what it feels like. But if you have felt it, then join this poll. Let's see what people are saying. Okay. So far we have 100% everybody that has answered this has felt it. Let's see if we get up to 10 people. So some people haven't actually. Interesting. Interesting. All right. Thanks everyone for joining in. I'll close this poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So but there we have it. We have, 91% of the people that have taken 92% of people that have taken the poll are telling us that they have actually felt imposter syndrome one way or the other. So it's a real issue, as you and I have actually just mentioned. So I think the question, and you guys, this is where you want to start putting in your questions in here. Um, but my very first question for me to you is, how have you tried to because I know that it's something I feel and I still feel. You get
Mm.
there are times where I'm in some sort of gathering and I'm like, shoot, oh my God. There you go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I have to figure out ways to, I have ways in which I condition myself to realize that, come on, Tommy, slap yourself and get back into it. But then, what is Bumi's method? You know,
So, like I said, sometimes you don't even know that it's not something that only you feel. You feel it's a you thing because you feel, you're the inadequate one. Everyone else is good. They speak with so much confidence. You think, they're fine. I wish I could be as good as they are. And I think earlier on in my career, I did feel that quite a lot. And like you said, I still feel that even today. When I'm dropped into certain situations, I'm like, what am I doing here? Who told them to bring me along on this journey? Um, and one thing I've sort of done over the years to help with it, like you said, it's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing thing. The first thing is, in the beginning, I was a bit averse to taking on new challenges because I just felt where I am, I'm still trying to figure this thing out. Okay, now I think I'm good. Now I think I might belong to a certain level. Ask me anything about this thing, I can tell you. Even though I still feel like I'm probably not as good as that person or the other, but I'm starting to feel comfortable. And when a new challenge is on the horizon, I keep thinking, this is even the one that will just break me. There is no way. There is no way I am going to be able to deliver on this. It just is not possible. What I've done over the years is, regardless, I embrace it. I take it on. And in that moment, I accept that I'm on a learning curve. And I try as much as possible to sit down and think, okay, why do I feel so doubtful of this thing that I'm about to do, or this process that I'm in, whether it's a project, whether it's a team, whatever it is. I will relate it to the workspace, and I'll keep it within those confines. It's, why do I feel so afraid of delivering this role on this project? You know, is it because I feel I don't have enough knowledge? Is it because I feel that the stakes are so high, failure is going to be huge, therefore I'm feeling the pressure? And I tend to sort of, take stock of those things. Now, to hype myself, to actually get into the headspace of being able to wrap my mind around it, I remind myself of the reason why I'm here. I say to myself, you've done this, X, Y, and Z for the past number of years. You've delivered this. I tend to record my wins. I tend to record my feedback. I tend to record my processes, the work that has gone into that process. I record that. And when I feel like I shouldn't be there, I go back and go through the things that I have done, that I have been successful at, and why I am here. What was the skill set that made someone give me a chance to be taking on this role or this process? That helps me. Now, if I feel like there is a gap in my knowledge, what is that gap? What do I need to know to deliver this? And I've been on different projects, and told me, you more than anyone knows what it means to be sort of thrown into sort of a new space, and you think, how am I going to get this to the end game? I'll give an example. So last year, I got into a contract, and I was going to deliver sort of a regulatory reporting solution for investment banking products. And at the time, my knowledge on investment banking products was very limited. And I realized, looking through the data, that I needed to know a lot more for the solution to make any sense to me. So the first thing I did was acknowledge that I had a gap in my understanding of investment banking products. I identified the ones I needed. I documented what I knew, and then I started to read up on what I didn't. Another thing I would say, in that process, I got a mentor, someone who was an SME in the field. And I said, I am delivering this thing. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here. I'm not quite sure why they thought I was a good fit. But you know what? I know I'm good. I know I've got the skill set. I know I've got some gaps in knowledge, and I'd really like you to help me. Luckily, they agreed. So I built up on my knowledge. I worked with my mentor. I would say, okay, I'm looking at interest rate products here. I'm looking at this data. I would give them what I thought, and can you play that back to me? Does that make sense? Does that solution make sense? And I was sort of able to get through it with that. So why are you afraid? Why are you doubting yourself? Highlight those things. Celebrate your wins. Remind yourself constantly that you do deserve to be there. You are there because you bring value to the table. acknowledge that value that you bring, and then be realistic. Do I have any gaps in my understanding? If you do, get some knowledge, get some understanding, get reading, do some courses, speak to someone. There's always someone there to help. And I find that the more you learn about what you're doing, it builds up your confidence. It sort of suppresses the feeling of not being enough or the feeling of not being there. You know the right questions to ask because you have read it, you have studied. So you know that, okay, we do need to be able to deliver this, but there, we don't have this information. Who can I ask for this information? And you're going into meetings with a lot more confidence than you did before. So it's just embrace risks. Take on new challenges. Do it afraid. Do it afraid. You're
And
learning. Accept that. Accept
yeah,
that. Um,
absolutely.
and just one more thing as well. When you're having that self doubt, say it out loud to yourself. Stand in front of the mirror and actually voice it out. You are not good enough. Why do you think that? Interview yourself. And you will realize that some of the things you're thinking in your head, they don't make any sense when they actually come out of your mouth, because somewhere in there, you do know what you're worth. And that has helped me immensely when I find myself in situations where I feel like I'm an imposter.
Like for me, like the honestly, 100%, I agree with what you said. It's just like you were in our last session that we're having with Kat Efolabi. We talked about the mirror as well. The fact
Mm,
that you need to make the mirror one of your best friends,
yeah,
especially when you can see yourself and you are talking to yourself. And like Bumi is saying, you're asking yourself, you're saying some things out, and you're already solving the problem. How many times have we tried to say things out before the
mm,
thing is coming out? You're already like, do you know what? I've already answered my own
mm,
question. This
yeah,
happens to all of us. So you still you're it's all there, but then there's just this thing that is pulling you back. And the
mm,
only way that you can go, across and be able to say, do you know what, this thing that is hindering me back is when you know what is the stacks on the table. You
mm,
know, my knowledge gap, I already know that I know this thing. Yes, the ones that I don't know, I've read up on it and I can now say that I know this bit.
mm,
What exactly do they expect? Have I prepared for this thing? If you
mm,
haven't prepared, then you should be worried. But if you've been prepared for it, then you're prepared. Then go in with your preparation and you should be able to do what you need to do. If it happens about, but there's something else I want to add. You have to understand that pressure is two ways. The fact that you are feeling the pressure, the person on the other side. So let's say in a job situation, you're about to go for an interview. Your interviewer is feeling the same pressure that you're feeling. They are feeling their own pressure as well because
yeah,
nobody, time is a very, very valuable asset. Nobody has time to just come and talk to you. Why? Because you are beautiful? No. They're talking to you because they want to fill a particular gap. They want somebody to come into the organization. And they've looked at so many CVs and they chose you. Why did they choose you? So you've
mm,
already, so if the doubts are there that, oh, okay, why am I this? Why am I that? The fact that you're like, out of all the CVs that they saw, they chose me to they shortlisted me. I've done
mm,
something right. They have seen something. Now you don't know what that thing is, but you're hoping that definitely that thing is on your CV. But what part of your CV? Now, this is where you need to know every aspect of it so that you can, as they're asking, you're able to give it to them straight away.
mm,
Use the situation, the task, the actions and the results, and you're laying those things down to them in those sort of way. And you try to pass on this how will I put it, this heaviness that comes into your heart when you're about to, when you do that, those interviews, gosh, it's been a long time. And you sit down, and the very first thing they ask me is, can I get you water? I never say no. In fact, I complicate it. Have you got sparkling? And all what I'm doing is I'm like, see, this pressure, please take it away from me.
mm.
I was you to go and be looking for water. By the time they bring the water and I'm sipping my water, I'm using it to do my deep breaths. And I'm like, in my mind, like, okay, here we go. Game time. You can't freeze right now. Turn up. Do you get?
Yeah.
And provided you have your own, and I think this is what Bumi is saying, provided you have your own style of what relaxes you, things you have to say to your head. all of that becomes a lot easier if you have prepared, like she mentioned, if you've already been able to fill those gaps. And then you now take the same thing and you use it in different aspects of your life. Because it's not only
Mm.
that, if you're a first parent, the same thing happens. Who told them that I can take care of a child? And then you're like, what do I do? There's no manual. If you are, do you understand? If you were starting a new role, it's the same thing. Even after
Mm.
you've gone through the interview, your first day on the job, you're like, they're going to find me out.
Mm.
And then, but then you try to figure out what skills do I use. So those are kind of like things that I say to myself, like I'm about to pitch on a stage, and I'm like, oh my God, look at this room. This president of this person is there. Well, and I'm like, see, they're a human being. Just gonna, what is the worst case that will happen?
All right,
You
yeah.
will fall flat on your face, but you won't. Do you understand?
Exactly.
Do I know my onions? Do I have the right thing? Do I believe in what I'm about to say? If that is it, then go give it to them and then say it. But prepare, prepare,
Mm.
prepare.
And thanks for that, Tommy. And I also wanted to just add to that as well. Like I said, you are in a learning curve of life. It's continuous, except you stop taking risks or taking new challenges, meaning you're not growing. So I'm hoping that we're continuously putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations. Um, don't be ashamed if you fail. Separate your self worth from your performance. Like Tommy said, know your onions. Equip yourself with knowledge. But you know what? There's no perfect person. There's no such, but maybe they exist somewhere. I've never met them, never heard of them. But everyone has a moment where they just did not meet up to their expectations or someone else's expectations, even in some scenarios. In that moment, don't let that define you, because it will come. Despite the best efforts, despite everything that you've done, some things just don't work out quite the way you want them to. And in that moment, don't be ashamed. Take your learning from what happened. What happened? Why did it fail? Why didn't it go according to plan? Take it and move on. Do not let that then keep you there. Do not let that then define your self-worth, because what that is going to do, if you then let that sit and fester, then you will be so afraid to take the next step that you will end up not taking any risks at all. You'll keep thinking, well, last year I said I was going to do this. I was not able to do it. I said it before. I'm very not, I don't want to use the word useless, but there it is. That's the proof. And 10 years later, that's still your proof. The failure of 10 years ago, because guess what? In the past 10 years, you haven't done anything new. You've just stuck with what you know. So even if you fail, even if you don't quite meet up to the expectations that you set for yourself, or sometimes that have been set for you, don't let that define you. It happens to the best of us. It happens to that your mentor, even happens to your CEO, happens to the CEO of some of the biggest corporations in the world, everyone. But as long as in your mind you brought your best to the table, you brought your best game, you put in the work, you put in the process, that is enough. And then you take whatever you learn from that failure, move it on, keep it moving. Just keep it moving. Don't let that keep you there.
As in, I couldn't agree more. There was something you said there that is like, if you didn't take anything out of this thing, if this is the only thing you took from what Bumi said, you should hold it tight. Like, whenever you failed, don't sit on it, because something else, you're allowing that hinder you from growing.
Mm,
And once you move forward, after a while, whatever, have you met those people that like talking in past tense? Oh, back in the days when I used to, oh, please, can we move forward? You get, it's like you don't want to be that person. You don't want to always say that your best days are, behind. Your best days are in front of you.
mm,
What you want to do is, if you've everybody has missed a step. Elon Musk has missed a step. We have
mm.
all missed a step. Everybody has missed a step. What do you do when you miss it? Take the wins from there. Think about it. What exactly? What did I need to learn? Why did that happen? Now you know why that happened. Make sure it doesn't happen again. And even if it happens again, then take the win again and think about it and
It
say
all
why
over
exactly,
again.
and you go again. And for as long as all it takes is that one yes that you're looking for, isn't it? And it's like people saying that, oh, people are applying for jobs. So I've applied for so many jobs. Keep applying now. It's only
Mm,
one job. You get, some people
Abby.
apply for one job, they get it. Some people apply for 100 before they get it. But all you need is just that one thing. So if you apply that this analogy that Bunmi mentioned into every areas of your life, nothing will hold you down, because you know you're a human being that has already been created imperfect. And all what we are all doing is working towards perfection. If what we are doing is working towards perfection, that means we are not meant to be perfect from the beginning. So all we need to do is, whenever imperfection shows itself to our face, we need to figure out ways to say, this is imperfection here. I'll take the things that I have learned from this so I can work closer to my perfection the next time. All right. So that felt like I was talking in church.
Preach it, sis.
All right, so we've got some questions on here that I need to put on. I think one of them we might have answered it without even knowing, but let's see. Let me take this one, your own angle. How do I overcome this feeling, even when I know I can deliver, especially when job hunting?
Um, First off, the reason why you're applying for the job is because you have the skill set. You're convinced you have the skill set. Otherwise, you would never have clicked apply. And hopefully, your CV also, conveys that. If you're not getting calls, you might want to get a professional to review your CV. Make sure that your CV actually reflects the skill sets that you're trying to market. Then, going into a job interview, hopefully now you've gotten it, you need to remember that the skill set on your CV, I think Tommie mentioned something, that the people who are trying to interview you, they're also looking for the best candidate. They've seen your CV, they liked it, they like your skill set. You do have these skill sets. So going in, you need to know that I am what they're looking for. Say that to yourself. I am what they're looking for. Um, what I've always done when I'm job hunting and going into an interview is this mindset of, what's the worst that they can do? They're going to say no. So I go in and I have fun. So this is me. I can do this. I can do that. You can see that in my CV. If you like me, we're going to work. And if you don't like me, keep it moving on to the next. Sometimes it can hurt getting a no. Again, it's part of life. There's no such thing as a perfect life where you get all the yeses. But once you just go in with the mindset of, I am going to bring my A game to this interview, guess what? Sometimes people might say no, not because you don't have the skill set. It could be for a myriad of reasons
Hmm.
that have nothing to even do with you. So just go in. Before you go in, say to yourself, I've got the skill set. I'm good to go. I know what they're looking for because they've told me in the job spec, and then I'm going to convince them that I have it. Tommy mentioned that someone else has mentioned this mirror thing. Believe me, it works. Stand in front of a mirror and talk about yourself to yourself. Record it actually, and then play it back. Is my confidence showing when I speak? When I talk about myself, am I just rambling on and on without saying anything? Um, Prepare your interview questions. If you've done a couple of interviews before, then you already know the sort of questions that might come. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your experience. Get your answers ready for these sort of scenarios. I have a go-to answer when someone says it to me in an interview. Tell me about yourself. I read it off my head like a clock because that is who I am. Who I am, obviously, it evolves, but I just keep reframing and reframing, but go into it knowing how you would answer certain questions. Have your scenarios ready. That builds your confidence. Know your CV in and out. Everything that you've said you can do, if there are things that you've maybe not done in a long time, brush up your knowledge on it. Sometimes it may have moved on in terms of innovation, new technology. For instance, I've used Jira, but the last time you used Jira was 4 years ago. Brush up your knowledge on Jira, especially if it's something that's on the job spec. In other words, build up your knowledge and your confidence so that when you go in, it shows. You might still have that feeling, even though somewhere in there, but that doesn't mean it should stop you. I could be afraid right now as I'm speaking, you wouldn't be able to tell because it's inside me. You can't see through me, can you? The most important thing is not to let it show. Don't let it come across in an interview. The worst that they will ever tell you is no. They're not going to bite you. Nah. Go in with that mindset and just have fun. Sell yourself. What you need is one person to say yes. If they say no, move it on to the next one, but don't let that stop you in an interview.
Very, very good answer. Couldn't have said it better. There's another question here. So, guys, please keep putting your questions in here. Faith Adela is asking, how can you recognize imposter syndrome in others and help them? Hmm.
That can be a difficult one. um, like so, if you and I've never had to do this, so please, Tommy, feel free to chime in. But I would think that if you had a friend or a colleague who you know is good, you know they're good because you've seen the work they're doing, but they usually sell themselves short. They can't take a compliment. Man, I can't believe how good you are with numbers. The first thing is say, oh, I don't really know about numbers. Like that. It's just luck. Wow, I can't believe you've been able to achieve and deliver this. It's just luck. I'm not really that good. Don't let me even tell you the story. They can never take a compliment. They can never tell you a simple thank you to you're doing great. They're always, you know, they always shy
Wait,
away from
don't,
risk.
don't mention. Don't mention.
Yeah,
Like,
very ambiguous. They get uncomfortable when you give them a bit of a compliment. And they're like, no, I'm not sure. You're supposed to telling me that. I'm not sure I'm good enough to have achieved that. They don't own their successes. Then they might. I'm not saying they are, but then they might. You know, be have this. They might have imposter syndrome. A myriad of things like that. You just see that they're never willing to take on new risks. They always shy away from challenges. They would rather hide behind someone. Sometimes they're even the ones feeding the information to the person in the forefront. They are that good, but they can never come out to say it because they're not sure of themselves. They might be suffering from imposter syndrome. How can you help them? Depends on the relationship you have with them. If you're a boss to them, if you're a team manager, just send them on a course. It could be a team course. It doesn't have to be targeted. I'm sure there are loads of courses, some self-help courses, some personal development courses out there. If they're a personal friend and you feel you have the type of relationship to point such out to them, then you might find a way to weave it into a conversation and have a talk about it without it looking like or them feeling like they're being attacked. But maybe just raise that awareness because they might not know that that's what's happening with them. And like I said, I've never had to do that before, but if I notice that in a friend or a colleague or a subordinate and I wanted to help, those are the steps I would probably consider, for them.
yeah, very, very, very good question. I'll answer this question in two ways. So one is me having imposter syndrome and somebody else identifying it and saying it to me. Why are you running away? Do you understand? So now this happened. Sorry about this. So this happened like really recently. So I was meant to go onto a big stage in New York to pitch. And in trying to pitch, I said, I haven't done any mock with anybody. We're just doing, I'm like, let me do a mock with somebody. And I chose that I scoped and I chose one of the strongest people in the room. And we only had like 15 minutes before we had to get on stage. And I said, I know everything about this thing, but I'm trying to get a hook to begin. Yeah. So I started my pitch with, "Hi, I'm Tommie Edwards." Da, 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 da. And she's like, no, 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 no. You are not. Yes, yeah, Tommie Edwards. We know that. How is that their cup of tea? Like and what she told me, and this is one that she just told me that. Do you know how I respect you? Do you know how many things you have done? Do you know what you have told me in the space of these 2 days that we are talking together? You told me about creating bootstrapping a product to 7 figures. You told me about why are you not starting with that? You are having imposter syndrome right now. You deserve to be on this stage and you need to be able to prove that nobody's going to know that if you don't open your mouth and tell them. And I'm like, whoops. And then I took it again. And when I took it again, it was just like, wow, the difference between me going in. And the reason why I didn't say that, and I know many of you will be able to attest to this on this call because you can see this in yourself, is that we have been taught to be humble. We have been taught, and honestly, I don't know who told us that lie because there is a difference between arrogance, humility, and stupidity. I was actually being stupid at that point. Do you get the point? Because why? What are you? You doesn't. For you to be humble means that you are not arrogant. You are
Mm.
not rubbing things in people's faces. But doesn't mean you should shy away from talking about
You're
your own,
unapologetic. Yeah.
especially when it's the right time to do so. So this was like was as if there was a dose of something put into my brain. Like, wake up, girl. What are you doing? And from there, I just went on to it and I just started. And all I can do right now is to try as much as possible to find that out in myself, in any other places that I'm trying to be modest. And I'm like, stop being modest. You have the numbers to back it up. Tell them about these numbers and stop holding back. So whatever is holding you back, and this is a cultural thing. We have been told you don't rub it in people's faces. You have to find that thing, and if it's your truth and you know that you have the numbers to defend it, say it as, especially when it matters. You don't go into an interview and you have to say, Bumi told you something today that you guys listen to it. When I was reading out her bio, I said 13 years experience. She corrected us on this call without telling us that she corrected us. Almost 14. Why? She's proud of what she's done. So you don't go there and say, oh, I have a couple of years. Somebody will think it's 2 years. Set the number. Do you understand the point? Set the number. This is not you being arrogant. This is you saying, I have done the work and I've worked on this thing. So that is me, somebody finding it out to myself. Now, in other people, there's so many people that I can identify this in them. And this is when, like Bumi mentioned, you're saying, and I used to be like that. I went to, I don't know if you guys know this, there's this girl, Unfon, I can't remember Unfon, no, Unfon, I went to one of her courses. And one of the things that she mentioned there, I can never ever forget. This was 10 years ago. I used to be someone that they would say, how are you? Or you look beautiful. And I would say, oh, don't mention, those kind of don't mention people. But now, if you give me a compliment, I will take it. You know, when you're like, take it and sit down and mention, please. Take it. I look beautiful. Oh, thank you. I know it's the new hair. I looked at it. Do you understand? So you have to find a way to accept when people are giving you compliment. All of that goes into you have no idea how those things are layering up into building your confidence. But
Mm.
then you know the area where you stop shy of arrogance. Do you understand? So what you want to be mindful of is not crossing that line of arrogance, but never ever swap humility and confidence together. Then you're stupid.
Yeah. They're not
That's
even the same. Yeah.
So, if you know your onions, like we've been saying, in whatever thing you are trying to do, and you can figure out that this particular person, anytime I'm giving them a compliment, they are either not accepting it, then you have to make them understand that. Do you know that accepting this confidence will allow you to actually sit back and say, really, really, I've actually done this. Take it, accept it, and you can encourage the person to accept more compliments. Yeah. And accepting more compliments will help them build their confidence gradually.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
if, like I said, if it's a co-worker or something, and if you've identified a course that you have taken or you've heard about that can help them to, get that more confidence, then you can say, you don't need to say you're not confident, go and take this. You say, oh, I saw this video and it really, really helped me. Maybe you should check it out. You get
Mm.
one of the things I'm doing for 2023. And the person will take it. They obviously learn something from there. And you guys can decide to even do a peer review to say, "Ah, what did you learn from me? This is what I learned. What did you learn?" Because but psychologically, you are trying to help the person learn what you want them to learn from it. And that way, you've been able to help the person through that particular thing. Now, don't think that you have solved imposter syndrome in the person. No, you have just given the person a layer to understand confidence
Yeah.
and to understand when they need to turn it on. You get, and to understand that this is going to go across every area of their life. In anything you do, it requires a bit of confidence. And this is why we say people don't have two heads. So some people create that third head for themselves. That second head that we keep talking about is the confidence head.
Mm.
Men, for instance, and statistics will show this. If you put a job, especially I can talk about the UK statistics. If you put out a job and we say that we need people with 10 years experience in this, that have done this, that have done this, that have done this, a typical guy, according to the statistics in the UK, would apply for this thing even if they have 5 years experience. But a woman will not. You want to have 11. And it's a psychological thing. We need to remove it from our head and say that because you are still thinking, I did not meet everything that they wrote on this thing. I'm not sure that I'm going to qualify. But then the guy is thinking it's something different. I meet some of it now. But I did not meet this one. I'll talk to them and I'll make them understand that that might not even be necessary. And that is the extra in extraordinary. Those are those little things that allows you jump beyond, and you are wondering why is this person just 30 and they've accomplished this
Yeah.
because dare to go into places that you would not dare to go into.
Yeah.
And that is imposter syndrome stopping you. So it can really hinder. It's such a powerful, I don't even know what I can call it now, and you can figure out how to, if you can solve this thing in different areas of your life, you see how further you can go. You dare, it just means that you have the guts to dare the status quo, and you're like,
Mhm.
what's the worst that can happen? No. And if it's a no, I will get up and I'll keep
And
moving,
go again.
keep going.
Yes. So I just wanted to add to what I think one of the last points you mentioned to me was around, people applying for jobs, they need 10 years. You want 11 years. And some people just go, I have 5 years. What's the worst that can happen? The first time I got into investment banking, actually, the first time I've gotten into anything, it was me just literally sending my CV because, well, apply. You know, my CV was on the job portal and I applied. I didn't care whether they were going to call me or not. I was the very first one. I was in an interview and I lacked some skills to the point of them asking me, "Can you tell me what an RWA is? What do you think it is?" And I said, "I don't know. I can have a go. It might be wrong." And I defined something totally rubbish. In hindsight, it was totally rubbish. But I had a rapport with the interviewer. We talked, we'd gone through my skill set. I got that job and I worked on that job, till we delivered the project. And down the line, I think a couple of years down the line, I was having a chat with my boss who'd done the hiring, and I said, "Why did you hire me? I was obviously, a novice in this area, but you went ahead and said I liked your person, and to be honest, the skills you were bringing to the table were more important to me than if you could define, this." And he said, "I thought if she comes on, she can learn what that is, and you did. Here you are today." The second one, I was called into an investment banking interview. Um, at the time, I didn't have any investment banking experience. I had wholesale banking. And I kept thinking, why are they calling me? Again, I applied because, for the job because apply button. I just clicked on it. And they called me in for the interview. And do you know what? They didn't even ask me anything about investment banking in that interview because I didn't know anything about it. But it was an investment banking, implementation.
Yeah, and
And
you can psych yourself out of it.
yeah, I did. But I just kept, but some of these job sites, you've uploaded your CV and you just apply. I read it through. I apply. If they call me, great. If they don't call me, oh well, they're lost. And I went on to deliver, as well. Again, they were simply interested in my data skills, my project delivery skills, my business analysis skills. Again, they felt I could learn what I needed to know on the job, and I did. So sometimes, like Tommie said, you might shortchange yourself by thinking, well, I don't, they need 6 skills, I only have 4. Don't let that stop you. If they won't call you, they
They
won't.
won't call- Exactly.
But if they find something that piques their interest on your CV, then guess what? You've just gained something. You've just gained a new experience. You've just gained something new. The second thing I wanted to touch on that Tommie mentioned as well was in the area of taking compliments. And where I come from, or where I grew up, like Tommie said, humility. You don't celebrate your wins. You don't, it's not a done thing. And I find that before being able to sort of overcome that in the professional workspace, start from his personal space. It can come from as simple as responding, "Thank you," to "You look beautiful today. I like your outfit." Start practicing that. I find most of us where I've grown up or in the environment I've grown up in, if they say I like your outfit, oh this old thing, oh I like your
Really?
hair, this old thing, you're beautiful, thank you, it's just the makeup. Start getting used to saying thank you, I agree, thank you, even if you don't want to add anything to it. Thank them. Don't say anything negative. Don't downplay it. Thank you. Own it. You will find that it becomes part of you and you're able to take that into the professional workspace because you know what? Guess you're in a place now where you get a compliment. The first thing that pops up into your head isn't the millions of reasons why you think that compliment is unwarranted. So start practicing from the small things in your personal space, and you'll find that you can translate that into the professional one as well.
Very, very good answer. So there's some more questions here. I hope we are all learning from all of this. I'm learning a lot. Um, so this is from Bukola Yusuf. She said, as a female in the working space and a mother with toddlers, have you ever felt like you belong somewhere you want to be in your career, but family pressure or anything close to that is stopping you? How do you face that challenge?
Hmm. That's a very good question. um, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this question justice. I do have two young children, um, but I do feel to actually be able to forge ahead is find good support around you in the form of any way you can get it. So where I live in the UK, we have childcare options that I've been able to explore and use over the years. Gotten a supportive partner as well, and where sometimes they can't be available, get extra help in the house, and that has worked. I know that that is not everyone's reality. Not everyone is going to be able to do that. So in scenarios where you feel unsupported or you feel like there's really not much you can do, it will still be you trying to make the best of a situation. There are employers these days who give. I think that there's a lot more flexibility in the workspace these days, especially internationally for parents. So you might want to look for an organization that supports you. If you're in a job where you don't get that support, it might be best to start looking at other options where you can get that support. Honestly, I won't be able to do this question justice, like I said, because what I've done over the years is explored options for childcare that made sure I wasn't held back, and I've been lucky enough to be able to explore them successfully. But I know that that cannot, and that is not everyone's reality. So Tomi, have you been in a place where
I am in that space.
it's not, you've not been able to just juggle it no matter what you've done?
So I think with me, your answer is actually the perfect answer. But then making this person see it in the space of it has happened to me, for instance.
Hmm.
This is where okay, so I also have two young kids, and where we live, how we live, everything is intentional because we could live in an area that is cheaper, but then I don't have the support system. We could live in, all of that is even the choice of school, the fact that they have extra times that we can put them in work and wrap around and all of that was deliberate. And it all goes back to now, I don't know your situation, if you are a sole parent or you have a partner, and it all goes back to communication. It's all about if you are a sole parent, then you know that okay, it's only me with these children. What is the practice? How can I get support around me? Is it that I try to buy the support, or I try to, look after other children to when I have time so that they can also help me when I don't have time. All of those things are things that you need to think about. It is a real problem. But you cannot allow it stop you because you are not the first person that will have the problem. Anytime you are going through something, don't think it's unique to you. That's the very first thing that we need to remove from ourselves. However big the problem is, trust me, other people have gone through that problem or even worse. And I don't want you to look at yourself and start to have this pity party. Why, just me and these children, they are not that. And you don't want to resent your children in the future as well. Because if they're stopping you from achieving what you want to achieve, that sort of resentment starts to come in. In my own situation, I've gone in with the same approach with Bumi. I have a partner. It's a matter of sit down and talk to your partner to be able to understand this is what I'm trying to achieve. Now, doesn't mean are they going to always say yes? No, you have to fight that way through as well. That's another challenge. And then if you're able to get your way in there, then you know, okay, at least you have a partner that can support you in this way. And then you guys have to then balance it out. Are both of you enough, or do you need assistance? You get so like recently, I felt like I'm very, very busy. All the things I'm doing is very, very is taking in a way time that I have to prepare food for the kids, try to get on to work, try to do it's just taking. So what I did is I secured an additional assistant in the house. But in order to be able to bring somebody into the house, it means that I have to give up some things as well. So meaning I have to give up money, I have to give up a bed space. We have to have the conversation in the house to say this is what is going to be happening. We have to, but then what is the positive of that? Now, when we weigh the pros and the cons, that was the best thing for our family. And that was the best thing to allow me be able to do what I want to do. And if I'm able to do what I want to do, now I have no excuse anymore because the family have supported me in this area. Now I need to go be the best version of myself in that area. So that is how I have done it. And like Bumi mentioned, the situation is different from everybody. You have to look at your own situation and figure out what is the best way. But it has to do with voicing it out. It has to do with acknowledging it, communicating it, and then figuring out ways to make sure that it can work well for you. Yeah. So I'm looking at time. We only have about 6 minutes, and there's still about 3 or 4 questions here. So
Okay.
let's take the next one. And Boki, please let me know if we did not answer your question. Then I could take some additional time at the end to answer it better. So, Bumi, this is for you. How do you handle team members that want you to feel inadequate with your position and job performance? Well, let me read this again. How do you handle team members that want you to feel inadequate with your position and job performance? So, Kingsley, are you saying that these team members they're basically not rooting for you? They are rooting against you? I think that's what he's saying, isn't it? Or Bumi, how are you reading this
Yeah,
question?
that's how I'm viewing it. Are they actively trying to sabotage your work, or is it just they're saying negative things to you? I'm not quite sure in what
Let me see
context.
if I can bring him on stage. Kingsley,
Yeah.
I'm going to try and bring you on stage for you to ask this question so we can understand it. So if you are there, just accept and join also on stage. But from what I'm reading, I think what he's trying to say is that these people are making him feel inadequate of his position. Okay, so I think Kingsley is here. Kingsley, hi Kingsley. You need to unmute yourself and ask a question so we can understand it. You're still on mute.
Okay.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, hi
Good day,
Kingsley.
everyone.
Good day.
Um,
It's a general question. It's not a personal question. So I just want it to be answered generally.
So are you saying that these people are making that particular person feel like they can't do the job? Is that what you're saying?
From my own experience with let me use my current team members, the ones we are assigned to item IQ. I feel like most of them need training, and I don't just want to kind of make the issue like major, but I just want it to be addressed, and any way you can address it, I'll be okay with it.
Okay, so I'm still not understanding your question. So does it mean that the new training in the sense of making other people know that if you have been put in a position of authority or you can perform well at your job, then because your question is saying how do you handle team members that want you to feel inadequate with your position and job performance? So
Okay.
The team members,
let me rephrase. Let me rephrase.
please.
For instance, um, like can I bring the situation from my intent team group or as a case study? Let me use that as a case study, please.
Okay.
When I created the WhatsApp group and I invited other team members to join the group, I had two other team members that joined, and the first thing I noticed, they were like, why are you taking the lead and all of that? And you should step down and do that, all of that. And I said, if you have a problem with me taking the lead and the way I'm trying to enable the team for us to perform as a team, you should report back to Tech1M process system. There's a process we all came through to be in this group. And different stories, different talk came up, and I was like, wow, I'm just dealing with immature people. So I handled it on my own way, but actually I was kind of pissed off, but I had to take that as part of the work experience. So that's why I brought it on here, so that if they are here also, they can also learn, and I can also learn. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Kingsley. I think so. For me, I think I should take this one because I
Yeah.
have a bit more insight on what he's talking about. Okay. So what is happening, Kingsley? The best way to have handled that sort of situation is that you've taken before people throw fire at you. It depends on okay. When people throw fire at you, there are two ways you can respond. You can either take the fire and burn yourself, you can dodge it, or you can figure out ways to put out the fire. Do you get the whole point? Obviously, you either try to dodge it or put out the fire. That would be the smart thing to do. Now, for me, I feel like what you should have done when you created the WhatsApp group depends on the very first message that goes into the WhatsApp group. If you've created the WhatsApp group without setting the tone that you are, if you set the tone that, oh, I am leader over you, there's no democracy. There no people will feel like who is giving you the power to be leader? You didn't even give us a chance to prove you and say that you are the one that votes you in as the person that we want you to lead this particular project. So that means that you've just taken matters into your own hands. But there are ways in which you could create the group, and in fact, before you're creating the group, you've already typed the first thing that you want to drop into the group. You've typed it out and you're just pasting. And you're saying, dear team members, I've taken the initiative to create this group to give us a way for us to communicate. We will need to select a leader that will help us lead this group so that we can work according to this and this and this. So if anybody knows the way in which we should proceed with this, please speak up so that we can know what to do. Now you are being diplomatic. You are not saying because I created the group, it is my group that I'm going to be the leader. I'm going to be, nobody likes somebody that will just come and say it's my territory and you're just being autocratic. Nobody likes an autocratic leader. You have to be a diplomatic leader. And to do that means that you're opening it up for other people to, even if you're not going to accept what they're going to say, there are ways in which you have to do it. It's called diplomacy. So there are ways in which you need to be able to open it up, let everybody see, and then put your own self forward. I will also love to be the leader, and these are the qualities I think I have. What do you guys think? Allow them to be the one to vote you in, and then you'll be able to do better than you saying, oh, I am going to be the one. Do you understand? That is where I think you might be having the conflict because they are just like, who is this guy? So I if you want us to address this, we can address this outside of this call a lot better. But I think that those kind of tips are ways. If you don't want your team members to frustrate you, you have to make sure that you don't frustrate their own efforts as well. It's a you don't get power, you earn it. And for you to earn power, you have to have done things that allow people to know that you're deserving of that power. It's the same thing as respect. You can't just allow someone to be called. If people are just calling you man, all of that is just high service. What exactly have you done for people to be able to respect you in that tone? And you need to prove it to them. Do you understand? So I'm hoping that we have learned something from that one, Kingston. All right.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So I know we only have, oh my God, we've even gone over the time. Sorry, guys. Bumi, if it's okay, can I take the last question and put
Yeah,
that on?
sure, absolutely.
Okay. So, this question, how can it's coming from Omojola? How can we easily help others when there's sudden pressure during interview? That might cause us to forget our memory within some seconds. Wait, let me repeat this question. How can we easily help ourselves when there's sudden pressure during interview? That might cause us to forget our memory within some seconds. Right. I think I get the question. I'm
Yeah.
probably doing well.
I think I know what you're talking about, where you're all of a sudden you can't remember any of the things that you've gone off your head. It can
Hmm.
happen. Um, I think the first thing first is your preparation before the interview. That goes a long way. Don't try to prepare at the last minute. Don't try to cram things. Know your onions. What you know that you know that you know that you know it. And I think that might happen to you in an interview if you're overly nervous. Nervousness can cause that to happen. So I think we talked about interviews earlier on in this chat, and it is going with your confidence, knowing that the worst anyone interviewing you can ever do is say no, and they'll usually even be very polite about it. I'm sorry, no, we just feel they will find a way to phrase it to make you feel better. So just know that that's the worst possible outcome, is that they say a no. And I think that just helps to rewire your brain from thinking that it's in a life or death situation, fight or flight. So go in and try to enjoy the process. If it does happen that all of a sudden, all the things that you've learned, it flies away. I think if I were to find myself in that situation, it would be to take a deep breath. Hopefully, you took the water that you were offered
Okay.
at the beginning of the interview. Take some time, sip some water, repeat the question back to them. Basically, just buy yourself some time. Take a deep breath, calm down, and then attempt to answer the question. It might be hard. I'm not saying that it will be the easiest thing that you ever do. And it might be that in that situation, if it's the first time it's happening to you, maybe you might not be able to scale it, except you're really, you really have a good bounce back strategy. But if you are able to take a deep breath, repeat the question, make sure that you understand what it is that they're looking for, attempt an answer, and ask them if you've been able to convey the message that they were looking for. Usually that might help. If it does happen that you didn't still make it through, try to understand why you have gotten so nervous that you felt so much pressure in the interview, and try to work on that for the next interview. But I think it's really key that your feeling of preparedness going into the interview will really help to build your confidence if you've really, really, really prepared. I can't say it's ever happened, but I do understand how pressure can come in an interview, and it's just try to make the best of the situation. Buy yourself some time, take a sip of water, take a deep breath. It's in there. This is what you do. This is what you've done. It's not hypothetical. It's not theoretical. It's not an exam. It's actually just questioning you about things that you've done. And so take a deep breath, try to recollect your thoughts, and attempt the answer.
Absolutely. That's it. That was my exact answer. I'll have just, this is where the water comes to life. You drink the water. And then if I can remember the question, I say the question back. If I can't, I could tell them, do you mind repeating the question?
Mm,
I'm doing that to buy myself some time, like
yeah,
calm down and this. And if at the end of all of that, I still can't get it, and then I could just say, the answer to that has actually slipped my mind. But before the course of this interview, it will come back and I'll be able to answer that. Do you mind us going to the next question?
yeah,
And then, but just make sure if you ever say that, then you come back. And I remembered you asking about this and this and this. Yeah, this is what I did, and this is how I did it, and this was the result. So they understand that, okay, you are just being human. Sometimes things just slip your mind, but
yeah,
then you were calm enough to be able to admit that it slipped your mind, but then you never try to dodge the question and forget about it throughout the interview. You understand? And don't now tell them, oh, maybe they've told you that this interview is 1 hour and it's now exact that 1 hour. They are now saying, oh, let me now repeat. They won't have the time anymore.
Yeah.
So just make sure that if you're going to cut the other answer shorter, because now you are now walking behind, you get, but you have to make sure you stay attentive, stay in the game, stay focused, because now you have given them a little bit of area to doubt you, but you can make it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we've come to the end of this session. I actually enjoyed myself. Very, very great questions. And Bunmi, thank you. Thank you. I can't thank you enough. I know that we
Thanks
keep
for
calling
having
you,
me.
coming back. And we are having Bunmi again in January. So you guys, lucky you. And Bunmi, thank you so much.
Thanks for
Thanks
having
for
me.
in all the knowledge, all the your skills, for being transparent, for telling it exactly how it is, and making people really see that everybody that they're looking up to, everyone that they're saying this person has got this, they're just human like us. And at the end of the day, if you want something so bad, you can actually get it. Well, those things that are stopping you, you have to find a way to sack yourself out of it and go for it regardless. So thank you so much again.
Thanks
All
for
right.
having me.
Yeah. So please show, I can see the love, show Bumi much love with our emojis so that she can come back, because she can tell us she doesn't have time for us, guys. Thank you, thank you, and everybody else. Have a lovely evening. And if I don't get to see you guys, I know we have another session on the 30th. I think that's on Friday. So hopefully I'll see you guys there. And in a situation that I don't, then we'll meet in 2023. So please come to the session on Friday to be another interesting one. And I can't wait to see you all there. Thank you. Have a lovely afternoon and see you guys later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.